Hey everyone, it's Josh here for DraftMagic.com. Doing some M13 to draft 8-4. First pick. Let's go. So off the bat, we see I think Pacifism, Essence Drain, Cower and Fear. Dryad's fine. Deadly Recluse is okay. Blade Test Boar is pretty good too, but I think I like taking a powerful spell, removal spell over creatures early on. I'm going to take the Pacifism. I'm actually sure I like Pacifism over Essence Drain. I mean, it's probably a better removal spell overall, Pacifism. But I mean, there's a lot of ways of removing it, and it's also I think I favor black to white in this format. It's my early impressions. Just black has some really good spells. I think Predatory Rampage is pretty nuts. I mean, it's not quite overrun, but it's pretty damn close and easier to cast. I'm pretty sure I'd just slam it. Yeah. Other options I don't think are really that close. Crusader I actually like quite a bit. Scroll Thief, Arbor Elf, Scorpion, Server. I mean, these guys are all okay, but I'm pretty sure Predatory Rampage is a bomb. We'll find out, I guess, but I wouldn't pass it too often. Alright. So moving right along here. I mean, I'm pretty sure I want to play green with the Predatory Rampage. Pacifism can be splashed. So the question is, do I just jump in on a green card here? And they're relatively unexciting. It's a hexproofy hill giant and a grizzly bear with potential upside. Though I'm not too convinced that going all in on as many Timberpack wolves as possible is a great strategy. It's a good chance it wheels anyway here. I actually think I'm going to take the Primal Clay. Versus Hunt Beast, I prefer the Clay. I think just a bit more versatile, even if it isn't hexproofy. It also just keeps me open in case green just gets totally cut. I like this card quite a bit. It's not ever super exciting. It's versatile enough that I'm a pretty big fan. Alright, so what do we have here? Some decent cards. Flinthoof Boar, Crimson Muckwater Waiter, both very good. They're fine without the you can, if you have a reason to splash black or a reason to splash red, they're both perfectly reasonable bodies before they're upgraded. I prefer to play the Muck Waiter if I'm splashing the other color though. Right now I don't have any entry into red or black, so it's really here I'm going to take the Boar. I can take a Goblin. I do like this guy a decent amount. I can take a Divination. It seems a bit early to jump into blue for... I like Divination a lot in this format, don't get me wrong. This early, maybe not. There's also the Ring. I don't know if I like the Ring here. I'm going to take the Boar. I'm not totally sold on these rings yet. I know people like them a lot. I have not been sold on them yet. Well, we can take another overrun, but not quite style card here, and just try to move in on that as a strategy. Nothing else is super exciting here. There's nothing really to make me go into another color. I could just take the Crag. It's worth a ticket or something, and possibly something I want to play. But I'm actually going to take the Cleaver Ride here. I think Predatory Rampage is better than Cleaver Ride, but they're actually pretty similar. You need bigger creatures for Cleaver Ride to be good. Predatory Rampage is fine with a bunch of 1/1s or 0/1s. I could take Bond Beetle. I'm not a big fan of Bond Beetle though. Not much going on here. I'm going to take the Fury over the Growth. There's only so many growths I really want to play normally. Tricks are a little weak in the format with all the instant speed removal. There's a lot more instant speed removal in this set than we've been used to recently. Makes the tricks a bit worse. Well, I mean, recently hasn't restored. I'm gonna take the Fury. I really like having access to 1 Fury. There's a ton of X1s. There's also a bunch of tokens around. It could be a pretty big blowout. Ooh, Prey Upon. That's pretty sweet. I guess I gotta start picking up creatures for my Rampage and my Cleaver Riot, but we'll find creatures. In green and red, we'll find creatures, or green and white, or whatever. Yeah, here I'll just take the Farseek. Help me splash the pacifism, maybe. I don't think I want the second Chandra's Fury this early. There are times where I'll side into it, or I'm aggressive enough that I want to, but I think like Predatory Rampage or Cleaver Riot do a pretty good job of stimulating the burn aspect of it. Ooh, wow, Deadly Recluse came back. I think I like that over Visionary, though. Man, I do really like a Visionary in this style deck where I have like Rampage and I guess Cleaver Riot doesn't go that great with, but we don't want to be too weak to flyers and stuff. This can help there. I'll just take the Brute. Not sure how good he's going to be in my deck, but and this is a good time to take the Growth. I think I like the Growth, the first Growth over the Plummet. I don't like the idea of main decking Plummet in this format. Though it's a very good sideboard card. But I am going to probably want at least one Titanic Growth main deck. How good is Ranger's Path? I don't think it's great. At least right now I have nothing to ramp into. Take another Brute. Splash some black and blue. Alright, it's a decent start to the deck. We need some beefier creatures, especially for our green deck, but it's a reasonable start. We got some reasonable signals too. I mean, that late Deadly Recluse and is it Recluse or Recluse? I don't know. I'm sure no matter which way I say it, I'm sure I'm gonna get yelled at. Yeah, we've got the Geyser, we've got the Boar, and we've got the Courser. I'm actually not 100% sure on this one. In a vacuum, the Geyser is probably best, but I think this is reasonably close in this deck. I actually really want a Courser. I want a bunch of Coursers, in fact. Blade Blast Spore is obviously better than the Courser, though, and I think the spell is better. But the way I want to build my deck, I want more creatures. I want to be curving out with beefy creatures. Am I gonna get like? Do you guys really disagree with taking Courser here? I'm actually not even fully committed to red. I mean, the Geyser's good. I'm going to take a Courser here. I think that's what I want. I mean, I guess it can come back to bite me if I end up finding infinite Coursers, but I mean, Courser's a reasonably high pick in green. Is it not? Alright. Public Execution's very good, but I think I want a Mog Flunkies. There's Arbor Elf too. I mean, I guess I did just say I'm not fully committed to red. Public Execution's splashable, and I do have a Farseek, but I also have a Pacifism, and I mean, I think Public Execution's probably better than Pacifism, though it's close because there is a pretty huge discrepancy in casting cost. But I mean, Public Execution's pretty insane. Though, like I guess it's Public Execution instead of Pacifism. I don't think Public Execution's better enough than Pacifism than Mog Flunkies can be in the deck I want to build here, so I'm going to take the Mog Flunkies. It's close with Arbor Elf, I guess, as well, but I mean, I think ideally I'm perfectly fine just going big 2 into big 3 rather than 3 on turn 2. If that makes any sense at all. I don't know if it does. Yeah, here we'll take the Rummaging Goblin. Alright, so we moved in on red. I guess there's some good white cards here. Healer's actually really nuts. It's like impossible to race this card. Night of Glory is also very good. One thing I want to mention, at least my impression so far, I haven't done infinite drafts, but I've done a bunch. Yeah, so like the knight is very good. Like I think actually almost all of the exalted creatures are quite good, but I don't think that the all exalted deck is that good. It's fine, but I don't think because you have a couple exalted creatures that every other exalted creature gets better. You don't necessarily want a deck of only exalted creatures. It's very narrow in the way that you can attack, because a lot of them don't attack very well if you want to make an alpha. And you want to have the option of alphaing, I think. I don't think you necessarily want one attacker per turn. Sure, they could have evasion, but it just makes you weak to unsummons and removal spells and all kinds of stuff like that. Like, I don't like the idea of the all exalted deck. Exalted is very good. It gives you some versatile options on attacks. This pack's horrible, by the way. Don't like this card. Maybe I'm gonna splash an eagle. I doubt it. I mean, I think Fairy Invaders is a better splash, but I do have a pacifism. If I was gonna splash something, I guess I could have taken a Divine Verdict. I don't really like that on the splash. Yeah, here we'll just take the Courser. Pretty happy with that. The Recluse. I don't think I like the Dragon that much. Do I have a way of putting +1/+1 counters on myself? I don't think so. There aren't really any. There's Bond Beetle, I guess. But yeah, I'll take the Krenko's Command here. I guess that plays pretty well with who's McCall? Predatory Rampage. So, I mean, pretty straightforward deck we're trying to build here. Just reasonably aggressive curve of creatures that'll be bigger than our opponents, and finish things off with like Predatory Rampage or Cleaver Ride. I think I like the Ring here over Fire Elemental and Bond. I'm not 100% sold on the rings overall, but I feel like they could be pretty good here, upgrading my Krenko's Command guys, or just, giving haste to a Courser later on or something. Take the Wild Guess here. Alright, I'll take one of these. I've actually had some experiences where it was a little bit awkward having too many Wild Guesses and Rummaging Goblins. When you have a bunch of them in your deck, I think I'd rather just have Volcanic Strength for the sideboard. When you have a bunch of them in your deck, you really start to see how much worse it is than like a Merfolk Looter. Because if you have a hand of like reasonably good, but not necessarily the nuts, Merfolk Looter, the worst that can happen is you improve your hand. With Rummaging Goblins and Wild Guesses, you can actually make your hand a little worse. Ooh, Thragtusk, sweet. I need one too. And yeah, couldn't get much better than the Thragtusk here in our green deck. Sweet card for Constructed too. I was saying something. I don't remember what. Yeah, about the Rummaging Goblins and Wild Guesses. Like, running multiples isn't the worst. You can always, like, Rummaging Goblin away your excess Rummaging Goblins and stuff, but I mean, you've got to be able to keep extra lands in hands later in the game, not have too many reasons to want to drop your, like, if you have Volcanic Geysers and stuff, or expensive, like, 5s and 6s, sandbagging lands isn't always possible for Wild Guess, and I just felt it was a little bit awkward. I thought that I'd just play as many as I would draft, almost always, but that turned out to not be the case. Which one's this? The green one. Do I really want it here? I'm not sure. I think I'll see if it comes back. I almost just want to take another Courser, but I think I have a hole in my Curve at 4, and I can use a bit of evasion. So we'll take the Blade Tusk Boar this time. Really? I think this is. I know it's not. I know it's not overrun, but I'm pretty sure that it's been under. I guess like he made his bed when he passed me the first one. Took himself out of green, but man, seems pretty damn good to have 2 of these. So we just want to make sure we have enough creatures for that. That'll probably just replace Cleaver Riot, which wasn't looking all that great in my deck. Here I'm actually pretty happy to take Elvish Visionary over the Mark of Mutiny. Mark of Mutiny would probably be pretty good in this deck too, but I just want to max out on creatures now. Not sure I want 2 Brutes. I wouldn't mind getting another Courser to replace one of the Brutes. I'm just not sure I would run another Wild Guess here. Is there anything I really don't want to play against, or I might consider setting into? Like this Fog. Fog is good against the Predatory Rampages, though I don't know if I really want to hate draft a Fog. It's the kind of card that people aren't going to side into multiples of most of the time, and if they really wanted a Fog on their sideboard, they'd probably have one. Yeah, I'll just take the Wild Guess. So Hunt Beast versus Plummet. Just want to get an idea of what my main deck looks like here. Cutting something. I'm probably splashing Pacifism. Probably cutting 1 Brute. Maybe a Wild Guess. Like, I guess the Hunt Beast gives me another 3/3, which I kind of want. Though I think I'm going to find another creature to put in that slot, or a similar slot, before this draft is done. I'm going to take the Plummet for the sideboard here. Ooh, how is this guy in the deck? What can he fetch? Reach, so I can get Recluses. You don't have to fetch something, I guess. It's not that great in my deck. Death Touch, Hexproof, Reach, or Trample. It's really just Deadly Recluse. I'm still going to take it. It's a creature. I think it would replace a Reckless Brute. I think it might be better than another Battle Jester here. Well, I'm not sure how good Battle Jester is in my deck. Yeah, we'll take the Baloth here, I think. It's pretty good with the Rampage. Take that over the Force Mage. Force Mage is decent in the deck, just to fill in the 3. Like, it could also replace a Brute, but I think we got a bit of a hole in the 4. And that'll, like, having a creature with Trample. Also, I can fetch it with the Tracker. Gives me another option there. I'll take away an Essence Scatter from someone. Alright, there's a big fatty. I guess we have room for... Oh, wait. This is... Yeah, I'm going to take the Ring this time. Actually, getting Trample. Although I don't have that many things to give Trample to, but I guess they grow. Right? And I have these, like, Visionaries and Recluses that it plays well with. Don't really want to play against the Mark of the Vampire. Or Hatchling, for that matter. Alright. Worst case, we got a Thragtusk out of the deal. But I think our deck's pretty good. A little low on removal. We've got the Prey Upon and the Pacifism, and I guess Fury can pick off some annoying things. But I mean, I think 2 Predatory Rampage plus Thragtusk is very good top end. And we've got, you know, decent curve of creatures. I mean, I don't know if my creatures are actually going to overwhelm too many opponents without the predatory rampage. Like the biggest they get is 3, pretty much, right? But so I'm not even sure I want the Farseek. Yeah, maybe I do. We'll think about it. Playing at least one wild guess. Titanic Growth. Plummet's sideboard. Strength is sideboard. Pacifism probably playing. I have the 2 rings. I'm gonna figure out whether I want to play them. Again, I'm still not fully sold on them, but they do have their place. I'll check out my creature count. Make sure my creature count is high enough. I don't want to play rings over creatures if I can use an extra creature or 2. I'm not sure how good Battle Jester is in this deck. I'm not playing that many red cards. Probably playing a Fury, the 2 Rampages, and a Thragtusk. So this is 24 cards. The other options are these guys. Oh, I have Primal Clay, which I want to play. Some of these are sideboards, some of these are options. I could not splash the Pacifism. It's possible it's not needed. I do want to have that one sort of unconditional removal spell. Although I guess it's sort of conditional. It doesn't take care of a utility guy completely. Like, it's not very good against Rummaging Goblin, for example, but I may not even want this Reckless Brute. He plays reasonably well with the flunkies. I'm at 14 creatures, so like potential cuts are these. The Farseek is potentially cuttable, though. Like, if I cut Pacifism, I probably cut Farseek. I think I like having access to the 1 wild guess. I don't think I necessarily need any of these cards. So it's from these. This is a potential cut too, though I don't really like cutting a creature right now. I'm slightly low. I have the command, which counts as a creature, I guess. So in terms of how many of each, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red creatures. So how useful is haste? It may not be that useful. It's okay. I mean, upgrading command seems good. Upgrading a boar seems good. But like between the 2, I probably prefer the green ring. I mean, Trample's not insane in my deck, but once the creatures start growing, it obviously is good, and it's pretty good. Having an extra creature with Trample is pretty good for predatory rampage as well. In terms of just ending the game. Though, I mean, really a lot of the time, predatory rampage, either they have too many tapped creatures and it acts pretty much like Overrun anyways, or it just demolishes their board and it makes it pretty close to impossible to recover. So, I mean, making your deck so that you win immediately with predatory rampage isn't all that, you know, there's not that much upside in that. So I think I actually I'm gonna cut the ring here and the red ring, and I guess I have Farseek, which could semi-count as a land drop, and it's kind of like 17. Then again, I have Wild Guess and Rummaging Goblin, so I have ways of recovering from a bit of flood. I do want to definitely get up to 5. Challenger's Fear, I guess, is cuttable too, though I've really liked it so far. It seems to almost always get something, and something good, at least something. And with so little removal, and like even just like you pick something off plus deal the extra 1 damage to finish something off after like a courser attacks into a 1/4 or an 0/4. It always seems to be worth the slot. Maybe I just cut the brute. I mean, it's a little low. I'm a little lower on creatures than I'd like to be, though. I mean, it's not always going to be easy to... The reason I cut brute is because it's not going to be easy. Like, I want more creatures to be able to, up my creature count when I cast the Rampage, but it's not necessarily going to be very easy to keep him around. I have to attack every turn, so they're going to trade with him before it's time to Predatory Rampage. So I guess it doesn't necessarily add to my creatures for the purposes of Predatory Rampage. For the purposes of curving out, I mean, I still wouldn't mind it, but I'm not sure. I think I prefer to have the ring to the Reckless Brute. And I want to keep the pacifism. I could get away with 16 lands, but I don't think I should try to get away with 16 lands. So we're going to go with this. 1 plane's probably enough. I don't need this many forests. I can probably go 8/7/2. Is that okay? Yeah, I think if I can get the extra planes in, I wouldn't mind. Yeah. I mean, I want to hit the double green eventually for the Predator Rampage, but it's not necessarily on turn 5 even. And I have ways of digging through the Goblin, the Wild Guess. Yeah, okay, I like this. I'll see round 1.